Hello. Happy New Year. It's been so long. I haven't seen you since last year. Well, I hope your holidays were good. If you celebrate any holidays, and if it's summer where you are, I hope you're enjoying that. It's still winter here. And yeah, I've just been kind of doing stuff and making videos, hanging out at my house, sketching, stuff like that. So, I'm always staying busy. I want the microphone close. I'm trying to work better on my sound, but I don't want you to be able to see it. Hi, Ray. Hi, Sydney. Where have I been? Where have you been? No, I'm just teasing. Hey, Mullen. Nice to see you guys. So, yeah, it's funny. I always think, like, for months before the end of the year, what am I going to do next year? What are all the things I'm planning? And I feel like I had lots of plans, and I do. I have lots of lists. But at the same time, I think I'm easing into it, Malin is like she shared with me checking out the gals she's following, and they're really awesome tutorials. So it honestly, the Procreate app does a lot for me. I'm really bad. I mean, I'm not just saying that like people say that. I'm actually really not that good. Like I'm such a beginner. Sometimes I have luck. I think it's luck, and the app helps a lot. So, and it's $10. But the thing is, you have to have an iPad, and I use an iPad Pencil, the Apple Pencil, and I really didn't get enough use out of that. But I bought it to do this precise thing. It's taking me a couple of years to get around to it, but it works like a charm. It's amazing. So, yeah, Malin, I want to spend more time looking at that gal's things because I'm starting to realize like I would like more brushes, but I feel like that is such a huge rabbit hole. It's like shopping for fabric when you don't know how to sew. So I don't want to. I was like, ooh, $40 for this whole brush pack. I'm like, you do not need 200 brushes. You need 4 more. That's it. Like I can't even use everything that's there. So, but I'm starting to see things that I want, and I'm having a good time. The prompts in the one I'm following along, I'm not that into a lot of them. It's the spoonflower doodle a day. They're not bad prompts. They're just not things that, for me, spark an idea. So sometimes I skip them, like the disco one. I ended up doing a disco dance floor with a ball, but I didn't do anybody dancing on it. And then I been working on one 2 days before the prompt. I've been trying to like chip away at some of them. So, and then that one was yesterday, and I'm still not done with it because I want to actually make a fabric print out of one of them. So anyway, yeah. So I'm really glad you shared that, gal. And of course, there's tons of great people out there. Everyone's starting to share them with me, and I'm like, yeah. I've been following a lot of people for years. So, but I can't recommend that Procreate class I mentioned a bunch by Sarah Watts enough. It was so good. So simple, only the things I needed, and this little doodle a day thing is really, and that class was $35, so it was so worth it. So how are you guys? What are you guys working on? What are you sewing? It's been so long, and I really want to do some streams dedicated to draping and my Beatrice, and I kind of made that this week, but I'll be honest, I really don't think I'm going to be utilizing the Beatrice the way she could be utilized the best. I'm going to be what a dumb thing to say. I'm going to be using her to check the fit of my Kelly Anorak. That's the absolute perfect thing to do, right? But I'm not going to be draping anything from scratch. That's what I should say. Yeah, Malin, right? It's very narrow. I like that her prompts are very like specific. Whereas that doodle a day goes from, dream to disco party. And I'm like, like I would like it really narrow. So you're knitting. Yeah, that's nice. Knitting and drawing. That's so nice. I'm really liking the drawing. It's really been great to keep my hands busy. The gaming is really fun. But honestly, the games I want to play, no one wants to really play. And I really like just playing with people. So that's been a really nice thing. And I've been doing it in the morning. I do it every day. you know, like you know that you have to start something new by doing it a lot and stick to a routine. And I used to be like that about exercise. Exercise wasn't really a big problem for me, but since I moved here, it's been a big problem for me. And then I but I can I install some sort of exercise thing like I'm doing drawing? No. So, yeah. Did I get a paper? Hi, Penny. A paper-like screen protector. Oh, for my iPad? No, I actually don't think my iPad has anything on it. I think it stays at the house 100%, and I'll be really transparent. I bought it mostly as a cash register, and I got an iPad much nicer than I really needed because I had hoped to be able to do this specific thing, the drawing thing, which is such an excess of what, you know, like that's such an excessive thing, and I'm not actually prone to really excessive things with, you know, buying things for one specific use that are like really expensive. But at the same time, that was my gift. I usually give myself a gift at the end of every season at Chicken Boots after a show season. And I just gave myself this one 2 weeks before show because my iPad died. And I needed one compatible with my cash registers. So I was like, okay, well, at least it's useful. But it was my last show, and I had to buy a new iPad, so I was kind of bummed. I was just using a little iPad mini before that, and it was fine. And I'd use a regular iPad. I've had like, this is my like third or fourth iPad, so yeah. And I don't have data on my iPad, so that's another constraint with it, is that I can only use it on Wi-Fi. And at our house, Wi-Fi uses some of our data. And if I do a hotspot on my phone, my hotspot has like a limit amount as well. So in a way, I should have just gotten data, but then I'd be paying every month. I didn't want to do that. So this is like so nitty gritty. Sorry. But I feel like that is the one. I like being transparent about the iPad because doing the Apple Pencil makes it like a million times more enjoyable and fun and easy. But that is like a whole expense. So yeah, it's actually not bad, Penny. There's a lot of drag with that pencil. Maybe mine does have glass on it because it doesn't feel slippery at all. And like Sarah, she says the same thing. Like she has a case for hers that puts a protector on it. But you know, the other thing you can do if you don't want to buy a screen protector is get like a sleeve for your pencil, and that can give you some drag as well. Or maybe it's that, is that give it, I don't think that actually changes that. Why do I say that? Don't quote me. I don't know anything, so don't quote me about that, so. Oh my gosh, right? Last year you guys got really hit with snow, Sydney. So true. Oh, cool, Allison. All right, so here we are. I just adore you guys so much. And I'm really happy to be here. So let me just check a few things here because I'm out of practice. So like I said, I do want to do some more dedicated streams or videos towards the draping aspect. It's just not something like we really need in order to sew a a store-bought pattern, right? So I was going to drape myself a basic, like a button-up blouse that I really want in my wardrobe. But then I remembered I actually drafted myself a block, and I wouldn't use the form for that. I would just start drafting. So for me, I like using the dress form to drape the bones of what you're doing and then go to flat pattern drafting because I was never a couture designer or pattern drafter. So usually I did it all on the computer or on the table. And the dress form was there really just for like really quick things. Hi, Walter. How's it going? You've been busy too. Hey, Nicole. I know, it's been so long. I've actually made and uploaded 5 videos this year alone, not including the wrap up. But the other 3 will come out on Sunday. Yeah, it's been a crazy year. I mean, last week, what was going on here in the States, I mean, I was like, what is going on here? I was pretty shook. It really derailed me Like it really derailed me. Like I was kind of like, oh, here are my plans. Here's what I'm doing. And then I just stopped. I feel like if I were looking at a line, there'd just be like this little space in the line. And then when I wanted to get back to normal, I was like, what was I doing? Like 2 days later, what was I doing? Wait, I was in a groove. I was getting ready to stream. Yeah, so. So, I'm going to do a video soon on how I pick projects, how I interview a pattern, how I pick the fabric for it. What am I looking at? Because I actually do a lot of work on this that I don't really, we talk a tiny bit about it here, but I don't really share what I'm doing. Not for any reason, just it's, I feel like it's boring, right? But then I realized that I'd like to do a dedicated video on that. And I think that Kelly really is what pushed me towards that, because I had a tricky time picking a pattern. And I'm going to be really transparent about this. You're probably going to see me being a lot more transparent about a lot of things soon. I didn't want to do the Kelly by Closet Core. I just didn't want to do it. There's plenty of them are done out there. They look fine. It's not my favorite look. I think it's a great bones of a jacket. But, you know, Closet Core doesn't really give us any love. So I figure, like, I don't need pattern companies to give me love like that. I don't do it for that. I do it for you guys. But it'd be really helpful, right, if they were sharing what we're doing here so that we could get more viewers, so that the stream could be really healthy. So I just thought, you know, they don't really need any exposure from me. I'm tiny. I'm like a peon, right, in the world, right? So, but I was all for sewing it for Hearts Fabric, right? We were going to do that anyway, and that was awesome. I was excited about it anyway. But I didn't think it would be the raincoat for me, and I didn't want to do that for Hearts because I want to keep it, right? So that was the other reason. I was just like, well, I'm already sewing the Kelly for Hearts. I can't make it for me because it's going to them. So then I looked at all kinds of patterns, and I was sharing those occasionally in my stories, and it was really nice when people would say, oh, yeah, I've seen that, or, oh, beware of this, or, oh, and have you heard of that, you know, and it was really great. I looked at things with Merchant and Mills, Pauline Alice patterns, Twig and Tail, pattern companies also that I'd never heard of, like Pauline Alice and Twig and Tail, and there was another one. There were like 4 that almost were the pattern, and I'll be really transparent. Most of them, they are just not size inclusive at all. Like they barely fit me. So I feel like right now I am heaviest I've ever been in my life. And I think I'm going to actually, which is something I'm going to cover. I'm usually a 12 or a 14 in Closet Core patterns, but I think I might look at the 16, but I have some caveats about that before I just say that size. I want to tell you why, but, and a lot of those pattern companies didn't go above my size. And I was like, well, come on, I'm like average, you know? So there's that. Or there just wasn't enough people sewing it, and so I couldn't get a gauge of how well it went together. Now, this isn't technically a sew along. I don't expect you guys to sew along with me. I sew for, you know, what I think is helpful, useful, things that are popular, not because I want to be popular, but because I figure like, oh, these are the things that need the most coverage because more people are sewing them. It's kind of a wicked loop, right? Something can't get popular until someone sews it. But, you know, there's got to be something that draws me to it. And there were some pattern issues I would see on the models. You know, like Merchant and Mills, those are interesting patterns to me, but honestly, they just do not speak to me. And I don't find them, they're not very functional. So, I'm sorry, you guys are all chatting. And I don't want to miss what you guys are saying. But, you know, and their models don't really look like me. They're very slender. Not always, but, you know. So I just was like, and I wanted to modify the pattern so much that I just figured it's not a good idea. Let me just check on chat. Oh, you did the ginger jeans. Good job, Nicole. I'm really happy for you. That's awesome. Yeah. Okay, super windy. Yeah, yeah. Oh, me too, Walter. Yeah. Yeah, Walter, I feel that way because my daughter graduated last year, and I feel like the world she sees right now, like how her impression and opinions of what she sees, no matter what her views are so bleak. It is heartbreaking. And it's really hard for me to say anything that removes that kind of bleakness because there's nothing to prove that for her. So that's all about say about that because that is a big thing for me in my life. Like it's a big thing. Being a mom is always 100% of who you are, right? So that is always at the back of my head and is not something that doesn't get talked about, you know? So yeah, right, exactly. Exactly. All right, so getting around to this. So this is my first stream back, so all you new folks here, sorry. I mean, I'm chatty. Obviously, people in the comments tell me to shut up and sew sometimes. But we know what we do with them, right? So that kind of cracked me up. That whole exchange really cracked me up. And now we're friends. So it all worked out. It all worked out, right? So, so here we are. I started kind of going round and round with this raincoat. And I was just like, you know what? I don't want to make 2 full-fledged coats for my first streams of the year, and I don't want to wait until the early part of the year to do them because of the weather here in the States. It wouldn't be very conducive to inspiration, right? And what people are sewing. So I reached out to Hearts and I said, hey, I'm really excited to sew the Kelly for you. I want to make a raincoat. What do you think about co-sponsoring it? And they were totally on board with that, and that was really nice. So they helped me. They gave me the pattern and they paid for a certain amount towards my fabric. And then I decided they were fine with me lining it. And then I bought the hardware for it. I bought the lining expansion pack and I bought the waterproofing. That's what this otter bar is. I'm going to waterproof. Oh, I changed the saturation so you can see the fabrics, but my arms, let's be honest, they're not too far from that color. I'm pretty pink. So I'm going to waterproof my raincoat with otter wax. I've never done that before. It was really hard to find the hardware kit. And if anyone is looking for it, you might try these folks. I'm not sponsored by them, but I was so impressed with how fast that they got my a really nice little note. But this is the company, and they're on Instagram, Makers Fabric. I wanted to show it to you so you have some sort of visual because it's such a generic name. Simple, straight to the point. But they had the whole kit, and it came all nicely packaged. And I haven't opened them up because, you know, I don't want to lose anything. And they also sent me a little piece of fabric test. And there was and a label. I got a label too. So that's pretty cool. And I had a hard time finding these hardware kits anywhere else. So you might try them. They're in California. So funnily, it arrived the same day as my fabric from Hearts. I got a zipper from them. This whole kit, I got everything. Snaps, rivets, the draw cord, the zipper, the tools. You can get it with and without tools. And then you get to specify what color you want. And I just said navy would be my first choice. And then gray. And then black. And they have samples of their zippers and draw cords so you can kind of see. And she was able to accommodate me. So that was really nice. This is just my receipts for these things. Yes, grommets. I mean, a ton of stuff in here. But Maker's Fabric, it was really a pleasant experience. All right, and so the fabrics I'm using, I'll just talk about it now just because it's right here. But this is the Ruby Star Society, just a quilting cotton. It's called Rock Springs Metallic Peacock. I thought it was from the Florida collection. This is by Sarah Watts, who's one of my favorite fabric designers, so I was actually pretty excited. There's all kinds of little details in it. So this is going to be the lining. I'm not even going to pre-wash it because I can't wash my coat once I wax it. So, thanks, Allison. That's nice. Nice of you. Yeah, I will be doing the waxing live, and I don't wax it before you cut it out. So I'll be doing that once the jacket's completely made. That's what they show in all their videos. So this is part of my research. I was sitting there in bed looking at either patterns, and I really rely on this part of a pattern. When I'm researching a pattern, I rely on this picture here. You know, so I'm staring at those, staring at the hashtag on Instagram, and then I was looking at otter wax videos on how to wax something. It looks really simple. And there's two versions. There's the kind you can paint on with a brush, which sounds so easy and delightful. And it is not suited for this kind of project. And I can't remember why, but it's pretty clear. Like if you're just waxing a coat, you can even buy a coat off the rack and wax it with the otter wax. The site assured me 1 bar is enough. This is it. It's the wax. Made in Portland, Oregon. They do all kinds of things if you have like boots, anything like that. And I'm not sure outside the United States what the alternative would be to otter wax, but if anyone, and maybe they ship internationally, but if you don't want to ship internationally, people are welcome to comment and promote someone else as well. Line drawing, yeah, I call it a flat sketch, but the line drawing for me is key. I stared at this a lot yesterday. In fact, I couldn't figure out why this jacket was buttoning incorrectly. People, look at that. This stuff makes me so mad. But the buttons are right here on the flap, and I was just like, why is that buttoning closed in front of the zipper? But, you know, the sketch is correct. So things like that. Yeah, flat drawings. There's no back view on the back there, but there is in the front here. So this is what I'm making. So let's break this down a little bit. If you took the pockets off of this would be a very, very simple jacket. It's really not that hard. I really think that the hardware makes it look like there's so much more going on, but you don't have to do all the hardware, you know? You don't have to do it, you know? There's ways around that. What if you don't put a flat up on it and you have an exposed zip, or you put the flap behind the zip? There's so many different ways to do this, and I've seen them all in the outdoor industry. There's just pros and cons to each thing and what you want. This isn't designed as a raincoat. They don't need to accommodate my raincoat needs. I'm doing that. So that being said, I'll probably make these pockets welts that drop into the garment because I don't like these pockets. This is one of the things I've never liked about this jacket. They're super clunky to me and really unflattering. I'm being really candid, but they are. They're just very, I don't know. I just don't like them. But I do like that, you know, you can put it looks like you can put your hand inside the pocket behind the flap, and then you also have a flapped pocket. I like that. So we'll look at that, and I'm going to figure that out. So I like something a little streamlined. Things that are bulky on me are just really not that flattering. So let's talk more about my fabric. So I'm just using a quilting cotton lining. I did not pre-wash it. It does have a metallic. I'm not a big metallic fan, but this is fine. And it'll last a lot longer if I don't wash it. Can't wash your coat once you otter wax it, but you can get like a little stiff brush and clean it and then re-wax it. So, and then I'm doing, which is gonna be hard to see. That's not lint, that's actually speckles, little colorful speckles. I don't know if I can see. I'll turn up the brightness, but I don't want to blow out your eyeballs. Let's see. I'm on pattern table. Here we go. So this is the Essex linen. Where? Oh, here it is. Okay. I gotta move it. It always pulls up the dialog box in front of what I'm looking at on the screen. It's really annoying. So you can see that there's these little speckles. I had no idea these were in here, and when I got the fabric, I did the biggest happy dance. I was so excited. So that's pretty cool. So that'll be the outside. I did wash this. You can see I'm gonna have to iron it pretty seriously. I'm actually gonna wet it really seriously and iron it really, really good. Because I wanted anything that was on the surface of the fabric to be gone when I did the otter wax. So the otter wax does say the kinds of fabric blends that work best with waterproofing it. So if you're interested in going that route, I would check out whatever brand you're going to use and see what they recommend. Yeah, it does. It's so cool. And I also wanted to tighten up the weave as much as possible. I'm kind of, maybe I'll even, I might even like wash and dry it again. I really want it to be as tight as possible so that it doesn't take more wax than it needs. The reason I'm lining it is that I don't want the wax fabric against my skin. So that's all. Yeah, it's pretty lightweight too. Like it's not very heavy, but it'll be lined, and I don't need it to be heavy. This isn't a coat for warmth for me. This is my raincoat, and my current raincoat is really lightweight, so it doesn't matter. Plus it'll breathe, which is really nice. So, all right. Yeah, right, Sydney? Those pockets are great for someone with no hips. The thing is, those pockets would suit my lifestyle so perfectly. And maybe I'll go with them. I don't know. I'm going to think about it. But here's the other thing about doing a raincoat. The fewer punctures you have on the outside, the better. So if I do just the flap with a welt behind it, I don't have this whole perimeter of the pocket, perforating the jacket. But we're not talking about a waterproof breathable fabric. So it's really like the constraints are kind of different. And then the hood versus no hood. All right, here's my other thing. I got this really nice email from Louise. She had given me the timestamps for, I forgot. A couple of you gave me timestamps recently. And I was thanking her for it. And then she replied back and she goes, oh yeah, and I'm really excited about the Kelly. She's been working on a different pattern and she's kind of, something about it's not working, like I think she's kind of falling out of love with it or something. But she alerted me to a major Instagram post about the Kelly and lining it and their pattern. And I'm really thankful to her for that. So I read that, and the post is by Sleeping in Bavaria. There's some underscores between those words. Sleepless in Bavaria. Sleepless in Bavaria. Maybe some of you already have heard of her. I've started following her. She had a devil of a time, and she just felt like it was really poorly put together for that. Or maybe it was the instructions. I don't know. And then they updated the lining pattern and checked everything out. So I'm pretty sure I have the most up-to-date version, which is great. Yeah, no purse. Exactly, Melissa. Yeah, I can't put anything of mine in the laundry without checking pockets. So that was the kind of stuff I was looking for before I picked the Kelly Anorak. And so I was pretty disappointed I did not run across this post. Because I'm pretty sure I saw that picture. I just probably didn't read beyond the first few lines if it's not right at the beginning, because I was like looking at pictures, zooming in, looking for things, looking for details. I want to see how this little area is constructed, like how they decided to do that. So there's things like that for me that are warning bells. So okay, cool, Allison, that's great. Yeah, so because I remember there was that other person that talked about a different, it was a deer and doe, right? We talked about that. So, I imagine someone different looking at patterns thinking, I'm not making welt pocket, this one looks easier. Yeah, yeah. I mean, the thing is, I know welts aren't for everybody. They don't really make me too nervous. And because the jacket's lined, I really could cheat even and do them. There's a lot of ways to do a welt pocket and make them less scary. We could even cheat and put a zipper behind it and then a flap over it. There's a lot of things I can do. So I can even do, 2 pockets next to each other, one zippered, one not. So I have a hand warmer. So this is what I love about, if this is really what's going on here, that your hand goes in behind a pocket with a flap, you could have a hand warmer where her hand is right now and something secure in the angled pocket. But that's not to say that that is that secure, because a flap doesn't really secure the contents very well. So this is the thing, right? Malin, would you put your stuff in pockets that angle that much with that shallow of a side right here? I don't know, maybe it's just drawn that way. Yeah, because see, look, when you look at the flat sketch, it's a much deeper pocket right here. That would hold stuff. I got the pocket behind me to look. Yeah. Yeah, so I think that that would make it look... I like the idea of the waist cord because it gives some shape to the jacket. But I also saw this couple. She made one for her and one for her spouse, who's male. And she left the draw cord waist casing off for his. And it looked pretty cool, you know. So I thought that that was pretty cool. Where's that version? Right here. All right, so... Wait, it's just a decorative flap? What? Are you serious? It's decorative? What? Are you serious? It's decorative? It doesn't say that in the description. It says gusseted flap pockets. What the what? Well, why would you put them on? Well, yeah, why wouldn't you just put the flap to the body and then it would be, oh my gosh. It is not a gusseted flap pocket. Anywho. All right. Let's get to why we're really here today. So, you know, that's the thing is like that kind of detail, even though it's not hard to sew something like that, it's not extremely difficult. And when you see lots of all these details, see, this is actually a really cleverly designed jacket. This is the kind of jacket that if it goes really well, makes you feel like a freaking genius when you're done, right? Because it looks at the outset like there's just so much going on. But you can achieve this really beautiful jacket by just adding some details like hardware and then the flap and everything. And it looks more complicated than it really was. And that's pretty cool. So... Sound of the front of the pocket. No, it's okay, Allison. Don't worry about it. My keyboard is the worst. It is way worse than what you're doing there. Well, you know, now it makes me, I feel challenged now. I feel like what I really want to do is make it 2 separate pockets. Because this is what, in fact, I'm going to show you. I actually brought it here for this reason. I forgot. I actually brought this here for you guys. Okay, so when I used to work at a place doing design and pattern drafting and grading, because it was a all-in-one vertical place that we did manufacturing as well. I did waterproof, breathable things for the outdoor market at a place called Coquetat Water Sportswear. And they primarily focused on people who were boaters, kayakers, very specifically, but we also did things like dry suits and things like that. We did a huge Coast Guard contract, so we did lots of coast. In fact, I actually saw a friend like 15 years after I had seen him the last time, and I had worked at Coquetat, and I think I just left, and he said, "Are you serious? You worked at Coquetat?" I was like, "Yeah, you've heard of it?" He's like, "I was a Coast Guard coastie in Alaska." And that suit saved my life. I actually didn't work on the Coast Guard suit myself. Maybe I did like one tiny little minuscule change for someone once, but that was not my project. But that was really cool to hear because they will extend the life of the person who falls in the water in water that you couldn't sustain life in, and then it gives a chance for someone to rescue the person, right? To put it simply and dramatically. So anyway, I focused on mostly their sea kayak market, and the sea kayak market is notably wealthier and is definitely going to be the market that sustains the company, because the people that are doing all the really wow stuff, the whitewater boaters, the young hot shots and people like that, those are mostly sponsored paddlers, and while they get the most like news and everything, they're really not who are buying the product. And so I worked on did I say whitewater originally? The sea kayakers, the flat water people. So I worked on flat water and sea kayaking, and that market is generally, 25 and up, even more so like 30 and up. And they wanted garments that they could be sea kayaking and go out in the water for a bit and then go to lunch, in their clothes and not look like a techie dingbat. My words. And so what I developed for them was all the insulation, and that went for all the markets. Insulation, which is like all your polar fleece and stuff like that. So I did all the knits, and that's where I won the award, which is over there. It's like I did the drop seat liner for women, so women could go to the bathroom while they were sea kayaking. And then I did waterproof jackets, and this is one of them. But this one honestly has been modified because this was a going away gift they gave to me. So they didn't have full zip jackets. Mine's delaminated, just so you guys know. So you're gonna see this is from a long time ago. So this is the jacket I designed for them. But I'm gonna show you the pockets that I designed. Look at my zipper's filled with fuzz because it's been washed a few times. All right, so I haven't looked at this in so long. Crazy. All right, so I don't know how detailed you guys want me to get about this, but I'm just going to show you the pocket. So the pocket is pretty cool. So this pocket right here, so when you're wearing this, the easiest way to use a pocket is not like this. And so I made it go like this from the center front. And so when you're wearing it, Oh, my jacket. I haven't worn this in so long. In fact, I gave it to my cousin who moved to Humboldt without a raincoat. And so I was like, here, take mine. Just send it back to me one day. And she sent it back to me. I did not use this. I did. I actually wore a jacket when I was riding my bike, but I made it. It's pretty bad. So this is the way I could access my pocket right here. Like this. But I also have a hand warmer right here. And this one you wouldn't really put things in here because things could fall out. There was no zipper secure. But look at the inside. My hood fits so good on this jacket because I spent a month designing it. So if you look on the inside of my jacket, there's polar fleece right here. And this is on the back of the hand. You see that? There's also, can you see these? Oh, you know what? Mine might not have it. Okay, so these pockets also had self-draining pockets, so that if, say, you were in your boat and you fell over, the like coup de grace of being a sea kayaker is when you are sea kayaking and you're skirted in. So you're like, oh, I feel like I'm getting so off track. I'm sorry, you guys. Yeah, techie dingbat. But like when you're skirted into a kayak, you're sort of attached to it. And it's like this, like a cummerbund with a big neoprene thing that goes out, and it's elasticized to your boat in the most least technical terms I can explain to you. And then that way, if a wave comes over your boat, if you've got all your garments layered properly, it's just going to splash and go right off, and you're not going to get waterlogged. Water's not going to go into your boat. And, you are going to stay warmer and drier, right? But one of the most amazing things to learn to do is to roll your kayak, meaning you roll it and you come back up all the way around. So say something expels you out of your boat, or you have to roll your boat and your pockets fill with water. Another reason you would never put stuff in the hand warmers. You'd have to have them drain really fast so you don't sink to the bottom. So these had a self-drain, but they removed it for mine. So this jacket didn't normally zip all the way through. It would have probably stopped, I think, right here, because that's another seam that, water can get into. It has this really lightweight neoprene kind of stuff. Slightly gasketed, so this is kind of stretchy. You can't even see the details of this. But anyway, these pockets, I was kind of hoping that pocket was like this, but it just had a flap right here so that, like this, you would put your hand into behind the flapped pocket. And there'd be the flap, and then you lift up the flap and there was like an opening, and that's how you got your stuff. The things you can assume from a sketch. Oh well. But the rest of it's pretty simple. The hood is really well designed. I mean, like, I know I'm not trying to pat myself on the back. I actually piggybacked on a lot of really good information. But, you know, all this stuff you can, if you're wearing it, you can adjust with one hand, you know. And then figuring that out is really tricky stuff. There's light foam in the bill. It stops right here. All this stuff. So, and the delaminated, I saw, I think Ray said that. You can see the tape coming off of my jacket. So I shouldn't say, it's actually not delaminating. The tape is delaminating. So, it's just coming up. So this was a really lightweight, not a heavy duty fabric. And you can see there's these polka dots. So that kind of helps abrasion. They have newer versions of this fabric. You can get it at the Rain Shed. I have a whole sample pack of it. So you can get it at the Rain Shed in Oregon. They're not in Oregon anymore. I think they moved to Washington. So, I don't know what else you want to know about this. It had an internal draw cord, anything. So all these seams are seam sealed. All this has to be seam sealed, not the waist, the hem. Everything else does, though. And then this would get sent to Gore-Tex and be tested in this crazy room. Hi, Elizabeth. Happy New Year. So anyway, I was hoping those pockets were going to be like that. Wah. No, you see there's no shoulder seam. It's got as few seams as possible. They'd put that all underneath if possible. Oh, wait. Oh, there's the mesh strain. I was in the wrong spot. There is a mesh strain right here. So if my pocket filled up with water, hope not, right? It would drain right here as fast as possible, and we would test that. We would fill up the pockets. We have dunk tanks there and all kinds of crazy stuff. And a whole crew that tests every single garment before it leaves. All right, anyway, enough tooting my own horn here. But really, it was that I wanted that pocket. I just untied my dress. Okay. It's been a long time since that coat. So now here we are. We're faced with our Kelly. And I haven't done anything, and we've already been live for 45 minutes. So let's move all this stuff out of the way. And let's try get some pattern pieces on the dress form. I actually cleared off this whole table behind me. Can you see that? I'm going to do the full screen. Am I going to do the full screen? I'm not going to do full screen quite yet. Pocket and a hand warmer. Exactly. Wouldn't that be nice? I'm going to kind of try and decide. I'm thinking I might use the Swedish tracing paper today. I think that would be really nice to be able to. All right, so the sizing question. Oh, you know what I forgot to tell you guys? I had 2 sewing fails while I haven't seen you. The slippers. The kids can't get their slippers on because I didn't use 4-way stretch. Don't make that mistake. I was dumb about that. I don't know how else to put it. So, don't don't use 2-way stretch. Do I think it's easier to fit harder to fit a coat or pants? Oh, pants are. Oh, Sydney, I don't know. Depends on what you're starting with. If you have something that's kind of close, but I do think coats are probably easier because you don't need it to fit as close. You know? Pants are just hard to fit because it's awkward. It's awkward fitting this area because if you bend over, you change how the garment's on you. So I feel like there's problems with trying to fit your own pants to begin with. You know? I hope Beatrice eventually comes out with a pants form. They would revolutionize everything if they did custom pant forms. Right? And I'm sure it's on their minds. I wouldn't even have to say that. I'm sure the logistics of trying to get it to scan properly is what's tough. Yeah. Yeah, so picking my size on this, when I looked at the size chart and I was honest, you know, have you measured yourself recently? Ugh, yeah, I had to measure myself. And I was like, okay, we're in a different bracket now. It put me in the 16, but I wasn't sure. Like, I measured myself. I should be honest. I measured myself over jeans and a sweater because that's what I'm going to wear under my jacket. And it doesn't say in the instructions how to measure yourself if you should be just using your body, because I think that's what it means. And they've added ease into the garment. And if that's the case, I shouldn't make a 16. I should probably go down a size. So, which would be more on par with what I've usually made with them. So that's one thing I think you should consider. If you're going to be wearing this over garments, you want to measure yourself for that. But can't go by measurement. I wish I could blame it on that. I mean, I'm sure that's part of it. But it's kind of even like since, the last couple of years, for sure. And my age. My daughter works at the candy store. Let's be honest here. So, anyway, this jacket is so long too. Look how long this is. Look how long. Oh, I don't have my. So, like this looks pretty long too, you know? And on me, I can get a raincoat. No, those people usually, it doesn't bode well for those folks. They go to jail. So this is right now, like just roughly holding it. It's the length, it's longer than my fingertips. You know? By a lot. By that much. Yeah, so the finished measurements, having both is helpful, but it doesn't, yeah. I would like to know, are they allowing for garments underneath? Yeah, Walter. Yeah. A pants form? How does it work? No, it doesn't need to bend. If they don't bend, that'd be nice. But they don't. They're usually like this, but with legs. You've seen them. But if they just had just pants only, this pin is poking through the cap. Oh no, it's a piece of plastic. Okay. All right, so let's cut this out in something. And then we can put it on the dress form or on me. Let's get a little faster here too. Yeah, I think I'm going to do this on the Swedish tracing paper. Because that way I don't have to, well, yeah, right, Melon? I hope so. So maybe I shouldn't have measured myself over clothes. So I'm going to cut out the 16. And then that way I have, like that's only 2 sizes away from their top size. I thought, yeah, okay. Well, I feel like the twig and tail, no, they just didn't have theirs wasn't very inclusive. I mean, like, I'm not saying it's exclusive, but it's not, all right, so it's the 3rd one in. Oh, there, I see it now. Okay. Let's cut it a little nicer than that, Sarami. Come on. And then we'll get it on the dress form and see what we think. How Hello, Melinda. How's it going? I never get notifications. I keep turning them off and on for like Andrea and someone else, and they don't work. It's really annoying. And I've checked my phone to see if why am I notching this? But let's notch this. And where's the waist case? Why is the waist case not drawn on there? Oh, I think I saw someone say something about that. Okay. Well, we'll just do that. So I have 3 videos coming out on Sunday. I almost made them like one each day. Kind of silly to do 3 at once. But they're on attaching binding to a neckline. 2 different ways. One to the inside, one on both sides, and then also how to draft and sew a facing. So when you get that notification, it's for 3 videos. You're going to be like, what the heck? It's a lot of videos. I made it into 1, and then I was like, oh, let's just make this into 3. So then I re-edited it. Hey, Patty, how's it going? Nice, Melinda. Yeah, weave away. Okay, so this has 2 fronts. Let's try. Can I get both on here? I might be able to. Oh my gosh. Holy curly paper. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Here we go. I'm going to try and get this on as small piece as possible. I'm still really surprised that those flaps aren't functional. Did you guys all think those were functional? Was that just me? Huh. One, two, three. 1, 2, 3. All right. I think I'd like to become a pattern critic. You know what I mean? Not in a bad way. Don't get me wrong. Oh, cool. I'm really glad that video was helpful to you. Yeah, I actually really enjoyed making that, even though I'm really sorry I didn't spend a ton of time like editing and making it all, snappy. All right, so this is a good example of when you could stack your grade and you wouldn't have grades going like the fact that there's grades around this whole thing and this is where there's none it's hard because like right now, this is my 14 and this is my 16. I don't really know how else to say that, but it's, I would have stacked it. 16 is this one. So I'm going to cut it out, including the 14 line, just in case I need to go down. Does anybody want to see how I would have done it? I did decide, Allison, that when I sew it, I'm going to sew it the way I want to sew it. I'm not going to, I may be following the directions, but I'm actually not going to make sure I follow them step by step. Because this is my raincoat and I really want it to turn out good. And it's also something I used to do. And I don't think I'm the expert. I just want to use a little bit of my experience, to kind of inform what I'm doing rather than handhold someone step by step. That's the waist length and shorten line, but I feel like this is actually where the casing, why isn't the casing on here? I don't get that. Okay, so this is the right, oh shoot. Dang it. So this is I have to cut this off for the right front. Womp womp. Hopefully I can still fit this on the other side. Or I could just flip this over. Okay, so let's trace this one again. Should have just cut them both out at the same time. You need to Instagram better? I don't know about that. I've hardly spent any time on there lately. I've been taking a little breaky poo, and it's been really nice. I don't know why, but, and some of you saw me say this in my stories, but I am not liking all the TikToks and Reels and Instagram. I hate even saying that because I feel like an old person saying it. The thing is, I actually love TikTok and Reels. I like that. I just don't want it in my feed on Instagram because a lot of times I just want to be able to stare at the picture, see what's going on in there, zoom in on it, and I don't want some snappy thing. You know what I mean? It is, I don't know. That's all I'll say. I'm sorry. There's a couple people that I'm about to mute. So I'll say that. All right, this is kind of messy right here because I can't cut it out on one line without cutting off the line I might need later. So. What? I thought I did. Okay. All right, so this is the right. And then let's I think that's where the casing goes. So let's see here. All right, so we got that. We got our back. We got our side. So let's pin this together. Oh, we need a yoke. This was the other thing. I saw that there's a back yoke that goes over the back. And I need to cut those. Melinda, your sewing, your projects came out so great for your mom. Your Sapporo coat turned out great. I'm fitting the Kelly Anorak to me. I just spent 45 minutes talking way too much about that kind of stuff. So you haven't even missed anything. We had a chatty beginning because we've all missed each other. Oh, what's the show, Sydney? You know we're going to ask you what the show is, right? Better be willing to admit it. Can I get that on there? A little more. Okay, so another one I need to cut a left and a right front. And cut them both off here. See, now the grade's stacked right there. That's great. So the other thing I noticed with this pattern is there's no center line. And that's really tough to know where to make my adjustments. Because I know where the center is, unless this is it right here. I'm assuming that's it, is this little notch right here. That would make sense. Oh, Outlander. Oh. Have you read those books? Did I ever tell you about when my mom and my sister and we went to Scotland, England, and Ireland? I've told you guys this. I feel like I have 4 stories and I've told you them all over and over. Ray! Oh my gosh, Ray. Thank you. Oh man. Oh, Bridgerton. I binged that. That was definitely like eye candy. Very historically inaccurate costumes, but still kind of a fun, a little bit bodice rippy, but actually was kind of compelled by the characters, so I enjoyed it. All right, there we go. So my sister and my mom and I went to England, Ireland, and Scotland when my sister was 18. I turned 30. My mom turned 50. It's the only time in our lives all three of us will have a milestone the same year. So I'm trying to get rid of the curl on this. So my mom has been reading Outlander books since they came out. She's a huge, huge fan. So this was 20 years ago. Literally 20 years ago. Hi, Charlie. Welcome, welcome. Good evening from Wales. Good evening from California. Good afternoon. Nice. I'm really glad you're here. Welcome. They're a really nice group. Really. They're, yeah. These folks are, everyone's so nice here. Sorry, I'm just adjusting my thing. So, yeah, so I actually went through Wales. I remember the bridge and everything. All right, so this is my, which one is my, this is my right. So, my mom, so I lived in Humboldt at the time, which was really green and lush and mossy. And it's actually probably the closest to like a British weather and ambiance you can get, except there's redwoods. Same with living in Washington, Sydney, like the, just that lush green mossy rocks, and fences, like sprouting leaves occasionally, everything's alive, beautiful. And my mom, we would drive by anything green and mossy, and my mom would be like, that's where Claire and Jamie did blah, 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 I'm sure of it. And we'd have to pull over and we would take pictures, and it took us hours to get anywhere. And we did a loop. We started in London, and we went through Wales, and then we took a ferry to Ireland, and we drove up through Ireland into Belfast, and took a ferry over to Glasgow, went up into Edinburgh, and then came straight back down to London. That was our whole trip. My sister was sick and jet lagged, so it was basically me and my mom. And the whole stopping, I'm like, Mom, no. And by the way, at this point I have not read the books. I am thinking these people are real. I was like, oh, okay, this is based on true story. Yeah, so is this a curve? Did I just cut that really badly, or is it actually a curve? Well, that's why you don't keep your pins in a cup. Gosh dang it. I didn't want to use tape. I'll use tape. It was an amazing trip. Yeah, and so there would be I don't know, their version of an abandoned silo, something that held food for animals. Or a little rock building that maybe was where they stored a few bales of hay. And my mom would we would pull over and we would take pictures, and on someone's private property. She's thinking it's 1,000 years old. I'm like, Mom, everything where I live looks like this. It is not old. Oh, man. She almost fell in Loch Ness because she was determined to get a bit of water in a bottle. And me and my sister were like, Mom, no, you can't do this. You can't even take this home with you. And so we were by this bridge. We pull off and we're sitting there, and she's standing on these rocks and she's slipping, and she almost went in 3 times. I was like, oh God, what are we going to do? She's going to be soaking wet. We still have a couple hours to go. We were staying in this castle at night. Oh man, my mom is pretty adorable though. This is, did I just really cut this badly or something? Why is it curved? Maybe it is curved. Whoops. Anyway. Hey Beverly, how's it going? Nice to see you. Happy New Year to you too. New details, yeah. The only fight my mom and I have ever gotten in, pretty much in my entire life, was on that trip. And it was bad. It was all over me not having kids. Yeah, well, look how that turned out. I really loved it. I loved everywhere we went. I've been back to Edinburgh, I think, at least 3 times. I really liked it there. Okay, I'm just pinning this all together. I just want to kind of see it on my dress form. I'm not pinning it because they're on the floor. Okay, so let's get this. This way I can also a little bit try it on me. The dress form is great, but I need a reference. Like, I'm still haven't used it enough to be like, oh, okay, when it's fitting my dress form like this, I know that that's good, bad, in between, you know, whatever. Do you really want me to be very pattern criticky? I know you guys are going to say yes, because I can tell you something right this second that already bugs me. And it's this point right here. Can you even see that? See that point? And the fact the seam allowance right here of this piece doesn't go to the neckline. Yeah, anyway. Anywho. The gloves are off for 2021. Didn't he really? Oh, and were they like visiting from somewhere kind of dry? Because that's the thing, like anytime I went, my mom and dad would visit me in Humboldt. And in Humboldt, I don't know if you guys know, it's Northern California on the coast. It is very wet and rainy, green, lush, beautiful. It's gorgeous. I make a nice balance. Okay, good. All right. She always gets caught on my little mat right here that I stand on. I saw someone post a picture of them standing next to, I think they're Beatrice or their dress form, and they made it the same height as them, and they were so sad. Oh, Allison, thank you. They were so sad how short they are. I totally agree. That was so funny. Bring it on. Oh, really interesting. Just see people, yeah. Yeah, so the thing I wanted to say was, I'll show you more specifically. Oh yeah, I tried to change a different camera, but you see right here. So now I know, okay, let me also draw on the seam line. So this has 5/8 inch seam allowance. All right, so when I just did this, I drew a parallel line to the cut edge that was 1 1/4 inches away. That line right there, and I lined up my cut edge so that I know. And then I line it up on the seam line. That's kind of off, right? But we're just kind of doing quick and dirty. My problem is this point. You see that point right there? So the fact that this isn't a, I'm looking for a dark piece of paper or something. Just, the fact that that is not a smooth transition, I actually talk about this in the video I'm uploading on Sunday. So the fact that it's a point right here. The thing is, when you sew that, when you put the sleeve in, you actually don't pivot right there. You make a nice, smooth line. Can you even see that? That probably doesn't look that bad to you, but it actually is a point. And the fact that you can see the seam allowance doesn't even make it all the way to here means that, say you're using even narrower seam allowance, the tip of your seam allowance wouldn't get caught in the seam, technically. Yeah, and it's on both sides, even worse at the neck. So for me, I would want that seam allowance to go all the way, and I would want a nice smooth transition. This transition, if you don't look at all that, it's not too bad, but it is a point. It's just very hard to see on camera. So, and the thing is, it's not bad. It's just not, it could be nicer, you know, a nicer transition. Where I see it the most is on underarms right here, like this. But see, this one has a nice right angle going into it, and so you have a nice smooth transition. Because the thing is, when you sew it, you do not mimic that angle. You would never do that. Even a beginner would not pivot at that point. They know in their head that that's supposed to be a continuous smooth line. So to make it so that you have to do it on your own is, it's just not as elegant. I am, Charlie. Thanks. I've gained a few pounds, but I still love this dress. You know, the funny thing about it is that I didn't realize when I was making it that it doesn't have pockets. And every time I put it on, I'm like, oh yeah, it doesn't have pockets. How did I miss that? I love this dress. Every day, this is really funny with this dress particular. Every day I think, I'm going to wear my Rita shirt dress today. And I think, no. And today I'm like, I'm wearing it. And I love it. I love this dress. In fact, I made a jammy shirt accidentally from the bodice of this dress. Because I was like, oh, I'm going to make a button-down shirt with this pattern. And it looked so much like a jammy shirt. I made a jammy shirt. Yeah, so I think so I'll probably go and, is it Allison, you were asking about like how would I change things? So one of the things that I would do is also I'm going to cut down any neck or hood or facing seam allowances to 1/4 inch. It's just so much easier. Yeah, patch pockets, yeah. Yeah, I could add patch pockets. That's actually a good point, Elizabeth. I keep thinking I'll pop out the French seams on the side because I have a scrap piece of fabric. And I just keep forgetting. This is weird. Yeah, well, I mean, it's not bad, like I say. It's just, it's not, that's all I'll say about it. I don't want to be negative, but it's just something I noticed. I make mistakes all the time too, you know. All right. So let's see how it fits Bear me here. Doesn't it seem like we had more view of her before? That's better. Hey, Zach, how's it going? They didn't explain understitching. What? Oh, green pepper. Wow, what a classic. I probably made that pattern. You know, I find that the Caroline pajama videos are some of my, if you were to sort my videos by most viewed, it'd be those at the top. I find that interesting. In fact, they are busy making I think support videos for some of their patterns. I guarantee it's that one. And see, I think that when I made that, I don't remember, and maybe you guys can tell me, how are the instructions for that pattern? Are they pretty good? Because it seems like I get so many views that I'm wondering were the instructions missing something, because I didn't find that one to be hard, but doing that kind of collar, which is the same as this kind, right? Isn't it the same kind of collar with a notch collar? Those can be a little confusing. In fact, I get confused by those all the time. Not all the time, like I'm doing it every day, but every time I make them, I'm like, okay, wait, how did I do this again? In fact, when I made the top from this pattern that ended up becoming like a pajama top, I literally sewed it like the week after I had made those Carolyn pajamas, and I was like, I don't remember how to sew the collar. I remember because my friend Rebecca was in the stream and she was laughing at me. She was like, you literally just made that. I was like, I know. But there's just something about that construction that confuses me. I doubt it. You know, I doubt my idea. Oh, the piping, yeah. Yeah, I can understand that. Piping is so it seems so simple, but it's really that I feel like it's the tools you have that help sew it. They're fine, it's not totally beginner friendly. Yeah, exactly, Allison. Exactly. A lot of people find me because of that video. That's why I have a feeling that'll be the video they make. Because I'm pretty sure they have them for, well, I don't know. When I was buying the Anorak pattern is when I saw that they had the Jessica videos, which I haven't made that. So Terry and I want to both make blazers this year. All right. Oh, nothing like Swedish tracing paper to be super unflattering, huh? But that's kind of what it's like. Okay, so already the first thing I'm seeing right now is that this is too tight at the back neck. So if I wanted to get this where I think the center is probably, I can't even get it to go there. We'll just, we'll do it the best we can. It's like bunching right here. This is so common for me. And I find a lot of patterns, the back neck is too high. I feel like they're all working off the same block, but I'm sure it's just me. Yeah, I was about to say that same thing, Sydney. That pajamas are a really great first project, but one with collar and piping, I wouldn't recommend that one. Same with the pants. You know? Yeah, and I don't fancy myself like an expert in piping. I hardly ever do it. Okay, so usually when you're fitting something you don't really want to pin to the dress form. You want the garment to hang free, just like it's going to on you, right? So let's just try and get this to hang free. So this is a classic area for me. I think that I must be really broad right here. This probably doesn't look as bad on screen as it does to me. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. And honestly, like once it's in fabric, it's going to be a little bit better. Oh, that's cool, Malin. Yeah, I bet that is it both basically focused on sewing it? Have you looked at the directions for it, and how were the directions for the Jessica? Personally, I don't think you should have to have a video to sew something. But I can also see though, but for that particular garment, you might want to delve into tailoring techniques and legit techniques to actually make a legit blazer. And that might be useful for a video because it's some of that stuff's so subtle, and your instruction booklet would be so long, and they're not known for long instruction booklets. So, all right, so what do I want here? Now, see how it's riding up on my neck right here? Can you guys see that? Let me tone down the brightness. Yes, Michelle. Hi, Michelle. How's it going? Yeah, and it's partly why I picked such lightweight fabrics, so that so that it's just a raincoat. I was so excited before the stream. There's this big gigantic fly in here, and I was like, maybe I could shoo it out the door, and I did. I was so proud of myself. And there's another one. Yeah, you don't have to say you're late. It's fine. You're fine. Come whenever you want. All right, so let's see here. So I have this little thing going on here. You know, on a jacket, you wouldn't really notice this so much. sleeveless. You can't let this fly. See it? That's why I toned down the brightness. Why is the brightness so bad? What did I just do? I don't think I toned down the brightness. I think I did something else. Huh. Huh. That's a little better. Once I get the brightness up. No. Why is this? Why does this look so bad? That's the default. That's the default. Sorry. Oh man. Why is it so hot? Huh. All right, I'm just gonna have to leave it there. Right. Yeah, so that it's I got this going on here, and so this is what I like to do. I like to just cut into it and see what happens, right? So right here it's very tight across my shoulder. So what if I did that? The hips are a little tight. They're not too bad, but they fit perfectly. This kind of helped that, actually. Now it's laying a little smoother. But, you know, this is still up high, about there. I'm going to zoom in again. Right, you crack me up sometimes. Nice and close. Sally Fields page. The Steel Magnolias one? Okay. See, so can you see that it's above my neckline back there? That was like a disco. Sorry about that. Yeah, I know. It's bad, huh? We haven't seen Megan in a while, but she would have definitely given me a little flack for that. So the thing we have to remember, too, is that this has seam allowance on it. Right? This piece has seam allowance on it, which would be about right here. So we're trying to mark where we want it to finish, but we have to remember that there's seam allowance on this. Yeah, where does that take place? I wish I would have gotten into that series. Okay, so this, I'm not a fan of this right here. This, can you see that? See it? Now, do I add a dart? Or do I pivot it out? Oh, right, my pins are on the floor. Let's grab a handful. That's where you keep your pins, right? My friend lives in that town where that was filmed. She says it's just as cute as it looks in the movie. So I gotta be careful. I don't want my sleeve to get tight, you know? I just don't like that it's doing that, and I may have to just get over that because it's a jacket, and when the sleeve is on there, you're really not gonna notice that. Yeah. But I can try it on. But if I get rid of that there, I need to adjust the sleeve by a lot. That's kind of a lot, you know? So I can pivot it out of the sleeve, but I don't want my sleeve to get smaller. Well, there's better ways to get fullness. You know, I can tell it's a drop shoulder, I think, a little bit, because this would be, unless it's because I cut the 16. Where's the picture at? So now, in my opinion, it's not a drop shoulder. It's on her shoulder. Yeah, there can be a hood. Oh, yeah. Okay, Alice, that's what I figured. Yeah, I don't want it overly fitted, so we'll just file that in the back of our head. It still kind of like wants to go boink up, you know? It's stuck on something here. No, is it not? So let's just clip into the neck. There's a chance I don't need to even worry about this. Maybe it's just that seam allowance that needs to be relaxed, you know? But it does seem like I could use a little bit here. I wonder if I could do like a full bicep adjustment to my back. You know what I mean? You guys. I watched Gilmore Girls, and I was really surprised when I saw Supernatural that guy was in it. I was like, oh, that's where he went. I just want my raincoat to be comfortable. I don't like, it feels funny right here. Maybe it's just like this. I don't want to do too much. I'll be honest, I don't want to change this very much because I don't want to change all those pattern pieces. I would probably not be able to do that on camera because it's so much. So I don't like this either. What I usually find my garments need is they need to be pleated like this. Like I need to take out fullness right here, and then I take fullness out right here. A broad back adjustment. There we go, Malin. So maybe that's what I need to do is a broad back. Is it like a full bicep where you do the, I actually have one right here. Pretty sure I have one right here. Let's see what this is. So I know my camera's not, I just want to adjust that camera though. Isn't this it where you do all of this to it? Right? Is it the same kind of thing? Hi, Adina. Will the waist gathers make the lower pleats unnecessary? What lower pleats? Is this how the broad back adjustment? You haven't made one? You don't know how to... Oh, okay, okay. Because this immediately came to mind. But the thing is, I can actually... I don't mind opening up the back hip. So I could... I did this on... What did I do this on? What stream was that? That I did the full bicep adjustment. Let's get it off this piece of paper so you can kind of see what it does. I don't know why I kept this, but I'm kind of glad I did now. All right, so here is the, oh, this is a raglan sleeve. That's interesting that I did it on a raglan sleeve. Starts the middle of the shoulder. Yeah, I know this is a sleeve. We're just talking about maybe on this, Kelly, I need to do that. Oh, right. Okay, Sydney, yeah. Yeah, I'm wondering too. But if I wanted to pivot it out and get rid of the dart, then I would have to go somewhere. But opening up the bottom sounds great. So like, So doing a full bicep adjustment without changing any of the armhole, which is kind of what I'm hoping to do on this, right? I don't want to change any of the, let's pretend like this is my center back neck and these are my armholes and this is my back. You know, you can open up, this is all taped so it's not going to show you very easily. You can open up your sleeve without having to, you know, what is going on here? What am I missing? Is it this? This might not be my full bicep adjustment, so I'm sorry. I don't remember what this is. So this is making it smaller. You can usually make this bigger. What am I missing? What am I forgetting? Maybe this isn't it. I was just thinking that I could open this all up like this. What is it that's missing here? I'm forgetting something. Is it this right here? You have to have these snipped so that they move. They're like a hinge. This is gonna come to me later and I'm gonna feel like an idiot. Anyway, you get the idea. Yeah, exactly. So, but I actually, this would work if I wanted the bottom to be open, right? And I don't change any of these 3 lines. But there's a way to do a full bicep adjustment. I think I'm just doing this on the wrong pattern piece and this isn't what this is. I think honestly, this is my demonstration on how to make a raglan out of a set-in sleeve. Sorry. Yeah, but I am working on the back. So I was just trying to get more fullness across the back, and I wouldn't mind opening up. So I think I could do that. I'll have to look back on that video. What video was that? Anyway, broad back adjustment. I think that's the thing to do. I just want it to fit well, right? I'll probably bring in the shoulders a tiny bit. So if I go with this size, I think I would like to bring in the shoulders a little bit because I'm not normally a size 16 across the back. Let's see. This is where it would be, right? Remember, this has seam allowance on it. And when you're draping, it's actually really helpful to drape things without seam allowance, except when it's sewn together, right? But all the other places that you're looking at, you kind of need to see where they finish. So I think I could bring this in just a tiny bit. 1/4 inch seems about right. That would be the grade. This is still, you know, relaxing. I'm going to clip this right here. So remember, this has a 5/8 inch seam allowance around the neck. But this is what keeps happening. It keeps riding up right there. Well, that's better. Maybe we need to open it up right here too. That helped a little bit. I still have these darts in here. I'm trying to see what it wants to do. See you, Elizabeth. Nice to see you. So I can see like across the back here. See how much looseness I have here? And I have none through here. So I could flare this a little bit. Right? Just across the back. The front seems fine. Funnily. Hopefully I'm putting this on its center line. But I'm going by, you know, this right here. I'm going by this right here being the center. And what I mean by center is when you overlapped both of your fronts, where would the center be? And I'm hoping that's it. Because that right there would be, you know, the seam line. So if you cut here on the, because it says cut here on this dotted line for the right front, right? So that means that this is the cut edge. And if you put your zipper in there, right? Is it Sydney? Yeah. Yeah, and it's just, I feel like across my back shoulders are always kind of snug. So I look at things like this. Is my side seam perpendicular to the ground? It doesn't look like it is on camera, but it is in real life. It's probably, the camera might be tilted. So I look at things like that. Like, is this perpendicular to the ground? You know, is my hem parallel to the ground? Which it looks a little like it swings a tiny bit, but I can't tell if that's optical illusion. I have a lot of fullness right here, but you know, the drawstring is going to help that. My floor. There's pins and everything. So this right here is my only thing, this little dart right here that I think I need to address. Like, what do I want to do besides this right here? I will probably, I think I'm going to try and keep this the same up here. And open it up. This is far fewer pattern adjustments. Opening it up down here. Right? So let's also remember, my dress form's not wearing clothes. Yeah, right, Adina? Exactly. My dress form's not wearing clothes, and I want to wear this over clothes. All right, so let's get this all situated. Let it hang nice and free. And I'm going to pin this to the form so that it doesn't move while I adjust the back. You guys probably can't see it, but can you see this little... So when I hold this right here, look right here. Do you see that bump? I don't like that. See, the thing is, I have a belly. So this is what's weird to me always, that I need these fit adjustments on the back here. And I don't think it's because of the belly. Maybe it is. Can I get that to not need adjusting up there? Maybe. Let's see. Like, I feel like the garment is pulling off at the front. Yeah, right? What is that? That is me. That is me. Yeah, and if you saw me when I first got my Beatrice, one of the first streams I did was I showed that I can actually tuck it right there on the Scout. I think it's the Scout. Yeah, right? Exactly, Ray. It's my humpback. Like right here is very full. I'm just playing around with it. I'm just seeing what feels like, what it wants to do. Is the side seam staying perpendicular to the floor and over the side seam of my dress form? I have a cover on my form that I put on, which adds a little bit. But it's still like, look, it's dead on. The side seam is dead on. Might not be on this side. Let's see. That's not bad. Right there. See, so the way to get fullness sometimes in a sleeve is to add a lift. Yeah, exactly, Sydney. Not necessarily, Walter. I just find it a lot on my things. There shouldn't be a bump back there. So if I relax it, but kind of pull it so that it's on the body, like that. More pins. Get some pins. I don't do fitting like this a lot. So I think someone who does this a lot would know exactly what to do, right? But that's pretty good. I got this curl at the bottom of the Swedish paper, kind of fighting the way it's hanging too. So let me pin it all the way to the bottom. I kind of like that. What do you guys think? So basically, I need to open up my back. I think so. Forward head adjustment. Like, is that the reverse of a forward shoulder adjustment? Yeah, I was just about to move out the camera. Sorry, I got distracted by chat. Okay, yeah. No, I'm going back. What the heck? Like, again, the dialog boxes are on top. The camera's crooked a little bit. Because this side looks higher, huh? Strangling neckline, yeah. Going to the back of the armhole. And shorten front, yeah. Ray has a very excellent point. It always depends on the body shape of the pattern drafter. I totally feel like I could do a whole thing on the way patterns fit, and then you're looking at the owner of the company. It's almost true for every garment company and pattern company. It's a joke amongst pattern drafters who work for them. So, which part's a little confusing, Walter? So, one thing I should note, for anyone who's just like, why don't you just know how to do this, Jeremy? Aren't you an expert in this, Jeremy? I'm actually not. When you go to design school, you don't learn how to do custom fitting. You learn how to do pattern drafting that fits the most people. Which I know that has its issues too, because obviously there's a lot of people that haven't been fit for a long time. But when I got to the home sewing industry in the home sewing world, when I started streaming and just started like sewing for myself and sewing and just thinking like, hey, maybe other people want to hang out and sew with me. And then we can talk about construction and the different styles and stuff. I started hearing about all these things like FBA and forward shoulder adjustment, full bicep adjustment. Those things do not exist in design school. They do in a different way, but they're not called that. They're adjustments you make to get the pattern correct. They're not called those things, and those things are directly for people fitting themselves. Yeah, exactly. So I think also, since this stream is so much more philosophical than I ever planned it to be, it's a good chance to talk about why how do I put this? So it makes sense. So when I can relate this. Oh my gosh, what am I trying to say? So just because I say something isn't like that doesn't fit me, that does not mean this pattern is wrong, or they drafted it badly, or they drafted it wrong, right? Correct? Because we're all so unique in how we fit things. And you're going to find that pattern company that works better for you than another pattern company. Oh, but I always like the patterns from that company. They're so cute. How come they never fit me? This is exactly the same thing of like when you were 16 years old and shopping in a catalog and you're like, I want that. But you want that because you want to look like her or him, right? So you want to be that thin or that curvy or that tall, or you want the shorts to fall right there on you, and they just don't, right? So this was the greatest thing about Ravelry when I started knitting, and you could go to the tab. So if you're not a knitter, and I'm sure you've heard of Ravelry if you're in the home sewing world, but there's this website. It's a little controversial lately too, but if you knit something and you keep your little project in your little notebook, your little profile, you can link it to that pattern. So say so-and-so designed this pattern and here you go, you buy it, whatever. And then you knit it, you can link it to that pattern, even if you didn't buy it from them, it doesn't matter. And then everybody who has linked it can look at all the people who've made it. It's genius, right? It's so great. And it's so much better than any of the home sewing patterns companies I've seen. So then you can go, oh, nobody with boobs has knit this successfully. I'm not going to knit this. And as someone who's going to spend 60 hours or 20 hours on a project, that is really important information. You really don't find this kind of drive in the home sewing world because it doesn't take us 60 hours to make something. Whereas knitters are like, yo, I want some research, right? So anyway, this is the same in the knitting world. I loved the custom fit program by Amy Herzog, but man, everything she did, even in custom, was so short-waisted and so short-armed. It was, and I'm not even that short-waisted. I'm a little short-waisted, and they still wouldn't fit. I still had to make adjustments, but you start knowing what you need to do, right? Okay, so I'm kind of off my point a little bit, but I'm trying to get there. So just because I say, oh, this pattern doesn't really fit that great, doesn't mean it's a knock on them. The thing is, every pattern company is driven by different principles and different desires. And the most convenient fit model they have sometimes is themselves. They're also the cheapest fit model they have. So, hey, right, Sydney? Exactly. Yeah, Ray. Right. Yeah. You, exactly. And they say these are designed for someone who measures 5'6". Yeah. You're still confused. There's more pattern. It's me, Walter. That's why. There's something about the broadness of my shoulders. It doesn't look like it's broad, but it just is. Like I might have more curvature here. You have to understand that even if I'm 1/8 of an inch bigger this way, coming out from my shoulder than the average, then I'm going to probably be having some issues. Or maybe I'm less here. But you can see like just putting that little pleat there has made it sit nicer. So size inclusivity isn't shape inclusive. Oh, that's very interesting. I actually have thought about that exact same aspect because size inclusivity, if you start looking like I do at all the size inclusive pattern companies out there, the curvy pattern companies, the plus size pattern companies, the pattern companies that dedicate most of their time designing patterns for that segment of the market, you will start seeing strife amongst them as well. Because you have like Cashmerette, who really pushes the fact that her patterns are really great for gals with big boobs. But not every curvy gal has big boobs. Yeah, exactly, Adina. Yeah, in pattern review website, I feel like you're right. I just haven't delved that deeply into it. Yeah, right, Charlie? I totally agree. Yeah, and you know, that's interesting that Deer and Doe says that they do. And but the thing is, their patterns are so limited in size unless you get PDFs. Yeah, exactly. At least Allison, I totally agree. The hashtags are my Ravelry. They're usually less staged. People are a little more candid, you know. And I love, Walter, that you say that the size inclusive isn't shape inclusive. It can be. It just depends on what that pattern company's focus is. Yeah, and Ravelry becomes so obvious that it looks good on who it doesn't look good on. And you think about, like, you got to take into so many things into account. The skill of the knitter, did they pick the right yarn? Did they get the proper gauge? Did they actually knit it properly? You know? Did they get good luck? Did they pick the right fiber for their yarn? There's so many more variables in knitting, and so much. I feel like there's actually a higher unsuccessful rate in knitting because you have to spend so long getting there. It's almost like that person that went to college, gets 3/4 of the way through their degree, and finally gets to the good stuff of their degree. They're like, oh, finally, I'm getting to study the things I really wanted to study. And then they're like, oh, I don't like this, but I've already gone this far. I don't want to stop. So I'm going to finish it, and hopefully it'll be useful in some way. It's the same with like a sweater knitting project. Yeah, Dina, exactly. And see, there's a lot of discussion about that, about curvy versus non-curvy. Like me, I'm hourglass. I'm curvy, but I'm not plus sized. Okay. They say that, yeah. I like that when they're honest about that too. Like I always think about, like, if I ever started a pattern company, who would it be for? And it would be a different person if I had started it 15 years ago than if I started it now. Right? Because right now I would be like, well, heck, I'm doing it for the over 50 crowd because I'm going to be 50 this year. So, anyway. All right, so what have we learned? We've learned that the back needs more, right? Yeah, so you're kind of curvy, Adina, but you're petite. And there's not a lot of petite out there. I feel like that, because I think Nancy could really speak to this if she were here, because Nancy has, you have a booty. Yeah, and Nancy is petite, and she has those challenges, I think, as well. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, and then the whole fruit thing. Did opening up the back make the front darts? Well, let's check. It shouldn't, but we can check it. If this were a sleeveless garment, I'd be very concerned with taking that out. This is my concern. Do you see this right here? That. That's what I don't like. So I think, like, I would really like to pivot this out, even if I maybe don't pin so much of it out. So the other thing, thinking about like sleeves and armholes and fit, is a bigger armhole doesn't mean a more movement in your sleeve. In fact, I just saw this gal on Instagram, and she's kind of blowing up. Like there's something shifted for her. I think she either got a sponsorship deal or something, and she's doing a ton more video, like very professionally made video, and she's getting hired to do that. And she used to make, which she still does, a product, but now she's doing a lot of video. Apparently she also has patterns, and she was like, oh, look at all these cute versions of these people that made this pattern. So I'm like, oh, a sewing post, great. I haven't seen a sewing post from her for a bit. Oh, I didn't know she made patterns. And then I was looking at them, and oi, like the armhole, I can tell, was drafted so large because that seems safe, right? It seems safe to make it bigger so that it'll fit more people and you'll have more freedom of motion. But then what happened was I saw the sleeve was actually really tight across it. And so there was this, it was like, you could see the tightness across the whole thing right here. If I could show you, I would, but I'm not going to. Yeah, it's really gapy. Yeah, right, Michelle, exactly. You always have that front gape. I do too now. So I don't know. What do you think, Sydney? I think I need to do something about it if I want. I don't have to be that picky, but I kind of want to be that picky. Maybe I won't want to when I start getting into the pattern changes. I may not want to, you know. It'd be really nice to get this like away from this seam right here, because the seam is actually right here. That's the seam. And it's like right through that. I don't have that pin straight across, do I? All right, well, I think I'm going to continue this on Saturday with you guys. I'm trying to keep my streams a little less 6-hour-ish. Yeah, right, Sydney? I just kind of want to enjoy the process of making this coat, and I want to do what I want. Like, I want to do what I want with it. Yeah. Still needs something. So I think what I'll do before then is I'm going to look at, like, how much this is coming out past my shoulder. Look at that. Is it a lot or not? I may just need to trim off the 1/4 inch because of the size I picked, because I don't usually pick a size 16. So maybe, you know, this is such a good example of like, when am I getting into that curvy size range? I'm literally experiencing that right now. So my bones aren't growing anymore. Just I'm growing a little bit more. So if I'm just picking a bigger size to accommodate my measurements, at a certain point I can't do that, because then it gets too wide across my shoulders and too long. And this is what a lot of people in plus size and curvy categories complain about. You can't just grade it up because it's not going to fit them. They're still my height. And then it looks like, you know, a kid wearing their father's coat. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know about that gape. See, I think this armhole is kind of low. Remember, my seam allowance is on here, right? So this is where this armhole is. You know, this is really where my armhole is. It's pitched a little forward. It's going to be lined and needs to go over a garment. So I do need it to be open enough. I have to get rid of this though. I think I'm going to pivot this out by slashing to the armhole and overlapping there to get rid of this little tuck. Oh, your shoulders are very narrow. And mine aren't. Yeah, right, Sydney? Yeah. Yeah, it would be so fascinating if you could actually see a time lapse of a person, even like a imitation person, how they gain weight. Because you might get a little bigger maybe around the neck, but it's not like, it's so insignificant. Okay. So what have I learned today? And I'm going to think about this. I'm going to think about some of this stuff. I've learned that I probably need to do something here at this armhole. Maybe I should try this on too. So I'm going to probably like tape something to the back of this so that I can try it on and see how this armhole feels with the sleeve on it. So maybe I'll have that all ready to go and try on Saturday to show you. And then I'll probably have done a few things before then too, so we're not sitting here mired in this, because we're cutting next Thursday. I'm cutting this out next Thursday, so I got to be ready. I need it to be a little bigger across the back. But see, it's like... So, you know, Walter, I think part of it is like I can feel it cupping right here. So does that mean it's too big? It should be falling off the shoulders straight down, and it's really not. mean, it's getting there. My armhole's back here, though. There's my armhole. Just to give some perspective. Yeah. No, not at all, Allison. It took me a while this week to realize what I needed this stream to be about, and that was the Kelly and not draping the button up top that I wanted to do. Because I really do want to make sure. I don't want to do all this. I couldn't do all this in the cutting stream, and I knew that. You get a prize. Yeah, so I'm going to think about this. All right, cool. Well, thanks for hanging out and chatting with me. I'm doing this, the fitting of it. Yeah, there's something right here. I actually think about this. You guys know this. When I got my dress form, what did I want? I wanted to see my back. Trophy for sure. So I actually think about this all the time. All the time. I think about what's going on back here on me. Look at how carved away my waist is there, you know? When you see just one half of the garment, you can see the cross section of the garment. That's what's happening there. Does that give you some perspective? You know, and actually I've wondered that same thing, Malin, but the thing is it hangs okay, but it's got to be it, right? And my stomach. Wait, you're not online for fast food and fungal. What is that, an expression? I've never heard that before. What does that mean? Oh, man. Yeah, Sydney. True. Yeah, and count on it being 4 weeks. Wait, you are in line? You're not. Wait. Did I miss you say something earlier? I have it on live chat. Oh, man. I think the cup size they draft for is a B. They said they draft for size 5, 6. Let's see what they say. Doesn't say. Yeah, and the other interesting thing is, like, I wish this was so when you buy the lining expansion pack for this, you have to print out the directions. Oh, okay, Walter. You have to print out the directions. You can't use the ones that are in the envelope anymore, and it's like 40 pages. So that's kind of a bummer about the lining pack. Well, you know, Walter, I think it's your personal preference, right? So if depends on what jacket you want. See, the shoulder line for me is also like, well, I wouldn't use this as my shoulder line, the seam of the form. My shoulder line's right here, so that's okay. It's more that I don't really like the way that it's hanging there, because you have like the same issue of with all your garments. Like for me, I feel like I'm always fussing with my shoulder area. I'm always like, ugh, or things are slipping off my shoulders because they're too narrow across the back. So I think when you start noticing those are the things that bug you a lot, they're also really big motivators with home sewists, because they're like, I'm sick of dealing with this issue. I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to do it to all my patterns and fix it. So, all right. Okay. Thanks, guys. All right, so there's 3 videos coming on Sunday, all about neckline finishes, if you're interested. And I use the tunic number 1 as an example for binding your neckline to the inside of the neck, binding the edge. You don't really need a video on that. Oh, really, Charlie? Good. Okay. Cool. And I'm a double D. So it's not much of a difference though. D to double D. But yeah, it makes a difference. Oh, and then drafting a facing. Yay, Charlie, for the answer. Thank you for telling me that. It's probably written, maybe it's written in the packet for with the envelope pattern rather than the expansion. This is going to be a fun project. I'm excited. I think no matter what, this is going to be a great jacket. Does my raincoat fit me this good? No. Yeah, I know, Malin. I know. I chatted with her about it. Yeah, cool. Yours is pants, Walter? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, measuring hems from the ground. I was taught that way too. And when I don't ever see people do it, I'm like, huh, maybe I was taught wrong. Don't ever think that. Whatever works for you, just do what works for you. Unless it's consistently like you're having an issue with it, you know? Okay, cool. Well, what was the other thing I saw? I saw Upton got a big expansion pack. And I've been thinking about getting that. What other news is there going on in the sewing world? Grainline said they have a bunch of stuff coming out. They were just kind of waylaid due to COVID, but they're going to have some more sizes coming out, which is great, and more styles because we haven't seen much from them. I think Itch to Stitch came out with a cool book, right? Did we already talk about that? It's only been like a month, but I feel like it's been a year. What else is there? Well, I don't know. You guys know I don't keep up with all this stuff. I do have some cool news for you guys soon, too. I just don't want to tell you yet. I can't tell you yet. I want to know what happens first. And then I have other interesting news that I'll share with you guys soon, too. So, all right. I'll see you Saturday, though. Thanks for happening in here and hanging out and, you know, dealing with the ramble. And, yeah. It's nice to see you guys. All right, I'll see you Saturday. We'll continue this, and we will have our pattern ready by the end of Saturday. Eek! I may do a little bit of test sewing on certain elements to see if everything goes together well after seeing that one review. So, tease, yeah. I was asked to be interviewed by somebody. That's all I'll say. All right, I'll see you guys on Saturday. Bye.